Hello, I'm Tony Sinnett, puppet maker and puppeteer, and this is the first in a series of videos where I'm going to show you how you can make your own wooden carved puppets. In this first tutorial we're going to build a basic 4-string and wire marionette. Now you can use the principles outlined in this video to create your own design, or you can download my clown design online and build a puppet exactly like this. First of all, let's have a look at the tools that we're going to need for this build. Here we have the design of our clown. It's always good if you can get a full-size sketch of the puppet you're going to build. And once you've done your outline, you get front and a side profile. An easy way to line up these front and side profiles is to create a grid on the paper, which helps you to align your points. I'm going to talk more in future about designing of puppets, but in this tutorial we're just going to work to this design, or you can use the principles and the proportions and you could lay out your design over the top using this as your basis. Now, the first thing we need to do is get these design onto our blocks of wood, and to do that we're going to save this as our master copy, and we're going to trace out each of the parts that we want to transfer. We have a couple of points that we need to look out for, and that is where the joints happen. So if we look at our puppet here, firstly into the neck here you have to allow extra material on the neck so it goes up into the hole of the puppet. So on our drawing here, when we cut this piece out, it will be longer up here and longer up here. The same thing with the bottom of the legs, because they work as a pivot point joint in there. We'll show you the joint later on, but you need to accommodate that on your drawing. So that extra piece, again on here, there'll be an extra piece of material up here and up here on the lower leg, and the upper leg will be cut out. And similarly down here, the legs go into the shoes, and we're going to drill a hole in the shoes to allow the legs to go in. So again, we need to allow more material on the bottom of the legs here, incorporate that into our design. But we're going to work on the head first of all. So all I'm going to do is get a piece of paper, stick it over the top. This is just a piece of printer paper or photocopier paper, so it's quite thin, quite easy to see through. Up. I'm going to put a reference line on here first, and that will allow me to align the sketches onto my piece of wood. And then I'm going to trace out the outline of the part that I need, which is the head. Going to draw in his nose as well, although I don't actually need that on the front profile for cutting, but I'm going to put it on there as a reference point anyway. Then do the same for the side profile here. his nose this time, definitely. Again, I'm going to draw in his ear. I don't actually need that point, but I'm going to put it in anyway. So that's our head shape copied out, and then I'm going to repeat that process for all the other parts. Now for the lower legs here, we've got to accommodate these extra lengths which I've added here at the bottom that go into the shoes, so that's where they'll be fitting into the shoes here, and also extra at the top here. Now there's one complicated joint that we need to work on, which is this joint here on the leg. This is how it rotates through a central pin. So if you imagine a circle here, and the centre point will give us our rotation into the slot. So at the top of the cutout here is a circular section, there's a slot cut in the back of the leg, and it rotates through the centre of that slot. There's a pin here. So we need to mark a circle at the top here, which will give us our rotation point. Now I've got a compass here, or you could use anything circular that's roughly the right size, the lid of a pen or a small coin or something like that to give you a perfect circle. But we need to get a circle with an accurate centre point for drilling. So working from the front. See, this will give us our centre. We'll start off with doing the head first. So what I'm going to do is stick our drawings on, which is why we traced them from our original, so that we can stick these new drawings on the front and on the side, and this gives us our reference line. So if we line that up front and side and make sure those lines join when we stick them on, that will make sure it's correct. We also need on the head here to drill some holes, because this is a basic marionette with a wire controlled through the top of the head. So we need to drill a hole through the centre of the head that allows our wire to come down through. So that top hole needs to be just big enough for this to come through. But the hole underneath where the neck comes in, up here, needs to be a bit bigger, obviously, because the neck itself is going to be bigger. But also we're going to bend this wire into a loop to where it connects on. So in order to do that, I want to drill those holes before I cut it out. So on this block I've marked the centre line down here and also the centre point underneath, because we'll be needing to drill that through. Okay, so we'll stick these on now. I'm going to use a spray adhesive to put these on with, but you don't have to do that. I mean, any glue will stick this on, like a normal sort of Pritt stick type of glue will stick that on nicely. But just for speed, I'm going to use some spray adhesive, which I've got here, so I'll show you how we do that. I'm just going to separate out my front and side. So we're going to stick the front on like that. I'm going to use this line to make sure it's sat on square. I'll just bend those sides there, if you can just see that. Just going to bend those there, just so that lines it up for me when I've got the spray on. So okay, so we'll just spray this. Which way that's going? That's going that way, right? Okay. It's the front. front, and there we go, down to the side. So I'll just stick on my front piece there, make sure it's nice and square if I can. Yes, that looks quite good. That's the front piece, and then for the side here we've just got to make sure that these two lines match up. And that will make sure that then when we cut out what we're cutting out lines up. So let's just do that. Make sure that lines up there. Nice and square on there. Just trim off the excess off there. A lot easier. Okay. Oops, we've stopped a bit later. Right, there we go. So we've got our front and our side, which gives us our cutting template there.